grounding for a moment. Coming into our body, feeling a breath all the way in, and feeling the breath all the way out. I'd like to talk about early childhood metta, being a guardian angel to ourselves as a baby and as an early toddler, those ages 0 to 4. Like I mentioned in our practice, a lot of us actually don't remember those ages, or many of them. Part of that is perhaps due to possibly some trauma, and part of it is just because those memories haven't been activated. They're there. All of our life is accessible, but as we age, these things slip into the subconscious mind. Going back to our conception, when we're practicing self-love and starting out from that first moment of conception, I find it actually really helpful to think about the mind states that my parents were in when conceiving me. I don't think too much time about it. It can be a little. But just embracing who they were. As you know, my parents were relatively young. My mother was 22, my dad was 23. And they've been married just a few years, and they're going through challenges. They're going through financial, economical challenges. They were an interracial couple in Boston, which especially back then was very segregated and a whole lot of racism. So yeah, just sending them some positive energy, those young lovers who were married really young. My dad was 19, my mom was 18 when they got married. And that moment of conception, was it an accident? Was it planned? Were they going for it? Were they trying to conceive? These things are worth contemplating and worth sending our positive energy to, because we decided to come at that moment. We decided to come into this body and take an incarnation. My little brother speaks about the restaurant where we choose our lives. He's like, when he was like really little, like I think 3 or 4, he'd be like, do you remember the restaurant where we sit on a stool and watch the movie of our lives before we're born? And my son said something similar. Said that he chose his life. I don't remember the restaurant, but it's an interesting contemplation, and I do like the idea that we actually do choose our lives, traumas and all. We choose it for the benefit of learning and developing our soul. So yeah, we start early. We start at that prehistoric stage for us where we don't have any imagery. Some of us are lucky enough to have a sonogram, but a lot of us aren't. And sending this loving friendliness, this unconditional love to that fetus. What was it like being in the belly? What was it like? What were our parents going through? Were our fathers speaking to us through the epidermal layer, putting his cheek up on the belly? Was he singing to us? Was he happy? Was he overwhelmed? Was he intimidated at the idea of being a provider and a father? Did he stick around? All of these things affect who we are. So this practice is really about coming in the totality of our being, embracing the totality of our being, and being with ourselves every step of the way as this benevolent, loving energy. It's like a superpower. We're suddenly empowered with this ability to time travel, to become microscopic and shower that embryo with love, with positive energy, with well wishes, and every step of the way. What was our birth like? A lot of our mothers had traumatic births. Some were lucky not to, or fortunate, or very intentional. My mother had a natural birth. She took a lot of vitamins when she was pregnant. I think she was really happy when she was pregnant. She was really joyful to be giving birth. I think she also had some anxiety for sure. And so we internalize everything that our mothers and fathers are feeling. And we work with them throughout our lives. So that's a really important place to start. Moving to the birth, or for those early pictures, that baby self that's so cute. All babies are cute. Hitler was cute. Pol Pot was cute. I'm not going to go through all the tyrannical characters, but they were cute and deserving of metta when they were babies, before their wounds distorted and disfigured their hearts and made them do the cruel things that they did. They were cute. They're little innocent sweeties, So were we. And we can parent our baby version of ourselves. We can cradle our baby versions of ourselves and give ourselves love. Some of us didn't get enough love as babies. And it's important to realize that and make the appropriate adjustment by doing it ourselves. The thing about this practice is our memories live on. Time is not linear in that way. Those earlier versions of ourselves are still in cycles of memory. They're still living in that stage of development. And so we become very empowered to be able to surf the interdimensional travels of our hearts and the memories and reach each one of the ages. I had a lot of resistance to this practice. I didn't like all the imagining. I was really comfortable with just the practice of being with the breath, with being present moment to moment. I found that so elegant, it was so precise. And I come from some years of Vajrayana practice, bringing deities into the body, meditations, tantra, which is beautiful. I love it. And mantra, all good. But it's also very active mind-wise. And so for me, it didn't create the stillness where I was able to process and even find insight in the way that Vipassana did, this just being with the present awareness, using the anchors of breath and sensations of the body. So metta was like a tall ask after that stillness had set in, and I resisted it. until I was on a retreat. And it was, I think it was a 7-day retreat at Insight Meditation Society in Barre, Massachusetts. Bonnie Duran was one of the teachers. It was a people of color retreat. And she was sticking with that Self Metta. She was really, really pounding it in, and it wasn't violent. But I was resisting it, so it felt like, whoa, this is intense. But she did such a beautiful leading of it, and really incorporating her Native American wisdom, like, bringing in the four-leggeds and the winged ones and the microscopic ones, like I really liked her phrasing, and I adopted a lot of it. And I started having these breakthroughs of realizing that I had been choosing emotionally aloof women that triggered the emotional aloofness of my father when I was little. Things like that. And it wasn't like a narrative thought process. It was just like, this is the truth. This is what is happening. I met every wound in my heart that needs mending, one after the other. It's been years, one after the other. We meet each wound, each trauma, and now we have this toolbox, this arsenal of this loving, fearless heart to process and to work through and to be with and to liberate these wounds, these traumas. So we come empowered as the wiser, more courageous, more developed version of ourselves that is in balance. Maybe we don't feel like we're in balance when we're not in meditation, but when we're in meditation, even if our mind is racing around, we're in a state of balance. We're in a state of collecting our awareness and focusing and concentration. And collecting our awareness and focusing and concentration from the heart, it's really powerful, powerful practice. So as we're working with the child, just remembering we are the parent to our child. I often tell the story of my mother being in a real rush. I think she was going off to work, leaving me with my father right after he had been in an accident. He had totaled his car. I think he was driving while intoxicated, and he was still a little tipsy when I saw him. It was summertime. My mom walked me to his house, and as we were coming up, I saw that he was really banged up. He had like dried blood on his face still. The car was burst into flames, so he was like, part of his hair was burnt, and he looked really messed up. I was eating a popsicle. I was so disturbed by looking at him in this state, and especially his mind state when he started to talk, that I finished the popsicle and I chewed it. I chewed the wood and I swallowed the wood. My mom had to go to work. So I go back to that moment and I take that little boy, put my hand on his shoulder, I come into his ear. I'm like, listen, this is rough. This is really rough. This is difficult, but I promise you things are going to get better. Your dad's going to get a lot better. You're going to be a lot happier than this moment right now. And I take him to the park, put him on the swings, and we just have a good time. It's all in just like in an instant. And it's extremely healing, extremely powerful. I feel that wound is so liberated. It's really, it's not a wound anymore. Maybe it's some scar tissue, but it's gone. And that child is good. That child that didn't feel safe, that felt, really concerned for his father and really overwhelmed, is now with his uncle, who is actually himself, at the playground. So it's a really powerful shamanic exercise. By shamanic, I mean experiential, where we can suture the wounds in our hearts and our childhood. And it affects how we are as an adult. We aren't operating from this wound, from this place of needing something that wasn't met when we were children. So it's a great gift to all the people we care about, because we can be adults. We can be well-adjusted adults. All right. Coming into an upright posture, connecting with the earth. Feeling a breath all the way in. And feeling it all the way out. Connecting to the heart center. Connecting to the goodness of the heart that brings us to this path and others that share the intention of liberating ourselves and others. Letting the radiance of that goodness shine on all beings without exception. May we all be happy and peaceful. May we all be safe and protected from inner and outer danger, free from harm. May we all be healthy and strong in mind, body, and spirit. And may we all live our lives with ease, free from suffering, fully awakened. May we all be free. Thank you so much for your practice, everybody. Take good care. See you next time. These talks will be accompanying the practice, so keep coming back to Patreon/Alafia Meditation. Good to see you. Take care. Bye-bye.